Hello, my name is Eric Yang. I'm a master's student with the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering at the University of Toronto. I study at the Turbulence Research Lab, directed by Professor Pierre Sullivan. The content of this paper and presentation is visualization from PIV data gathered at the Turbulence Lab to study the flow controlled by synthetic jet excitation over an airfoil. The effect of two control cases at different excitation frequencies will be shown here. So for those who are wondering, synthetic jet actuators are comprised of piezoelectric devices which vibrate under electrical excitation. These are used to excite cavities which have orifices opening onto the flow around bodies, and they shape the flow by adding momentum through cyclical ingestion and expulsion without net addition of any mass. Synthetic jet flow control has been found to be effective at flow reattachment over bluff bodies and airfoils. The goal of this research would be to develop a control scheme that can be adopted to full-scale flight. This will likely require development of a closed-loop control scheme, which is being worked on by several groups, including the Turbulence Lab, and also further studies into the response of different flows to synthetic jet flow control. There's a need to characterize the kinds of structures which arise from synthetic jet excitation, which can change greatly with the control parameters, as we will see later. I'll quickly mention just a few findings that have led to this work out of the vast literature on synthetic jets. Firstly, vorticity created by the synthetic jets can become trapped in the boundary layer over a body, and this can change the aerodynamic shape of the body. Also, burst-modulated control has been shown to be effective at targeting the instability frequencies of the flow, the shear layer instability and wake instabilities. Targeting these instabilities resulted in better lift recovery and drag reduction than without burst modulation. Those last results were used by Firo from the Turbulence group, who used burst modulation to control flow around a NACA airfoil. He also studied the effect of excitation location and found that excitation nearer the leading edge results in superior control. Finally, the mechanism of flow reattachment over a body is theorized to be from the downwash and entrainment induced by a train of vortex structures, which enhances the mixing in the boundary layer. Which structures result from a given control scheme, however, is the object of the current study. The flow was measured by particle image velocimetry in the low-speed recirculating wind tunnel at the University of Toronto. As shown on the left, the flow goes around a NACA 0025 airfoil in the test section of the wind tunnel. The airfoil model can mount machined inserts with different synthetic jet actuator arrays. On the right is the insert used for this work that has a high aspect ratio slot and a cavity lined by 16 piezo discs. The control is affected by the burst modulation of a 1 kHz signal by a square wave at 50% duty cycle. The momentum addition to the flow can be defined as the ratio between the mean velocity at the jet exit and the free stream velocity, called the flowing ratio. The excitation frequency is parameterized by the reduced frequency, which is normalized by the chord length and the free stream velocity. First, we take a look at the flow controlled at the wake instability frequency, which is of the order 1. The control parameters are the reduced frequency equal to 1, and blowing ratio equal to 0.1. On the left is the time average flow that is separated just past the synthetic jet slot, and on the right we see that the flow has been partially reattached with the elimination of the recirculation bubble. This animation shows the organization of the large-scale vortex shedding resulting from the wake instability control case. The vortex shedding location is 15% of the chord length downstream from the original separation point. Two main vortices with negative or clockwise orientation are shed every control cycle. Counter-rotating structures are present between the two main vortices, but are much weaker. In contrast to the wake instability control case, control targeted at the shear layer instability, which is of order 10, results in a time-invariant reattachment. The control parameters are now reduced frequency equal to 14 and blowing ratio equal to 0.1. The control induces a train of coherent structures, which are visualized here by the vertical component of velocity, but they are vortical in nature. The visualization shows that the structures follow the airfoil surface to about 65% of the chord before they start to dissipate. Coinciding with the dispersion of the structures is the development of a turbulent wake and the onset of separation. Now we look at the effect on the time averaged wake resulting from the two flow control cases. A few slides ago, we saw that the wake instability induced large-scale vortex shedding, and that results in the development of a large turbulent wake as shown on the left. And as argued in the literature, it's the enhanced mixing which helps to reattach the flow. On the right side is the time-averaged flow resulting from control targeted at the shear layer instability. We see that the wake is narrower and begins farther downstream, which corresponds to the persistence of trapped vortices from the shear layer control case. Though not considered in the present publication, I will mention before ending that momentum addition as a parameter also plays a significant role in affecting the structures induced by synthetic jet flow control. For example, at the wake instability frequency, which is of order 1, control at blowing ratio equal to 1 results in vortex rollup along the reverse side of the airfoil, as depicted in the animation. And that results in a narrower wake than for the case of blowing ratio equal to 0.1. Increasing momentum addition also seems to have the effect of increasing the persistence of trapped vortical structures, while decreasing the vortex intensity of those structures. This will be investigated in future work. The visualizations shown so far are part of a study on the use of synthetic jets for control of flow around an airfoil. It's been demonstrated that the frequency targeted by burst control significantly affects the shear layer response and how the turbulent wake develops. Other research avenues include looking at the jet evolution near the wall of the airfoil, using circular orifices, as well as different angles of attack, which can significantly affect the flow. These will be studied in the near future. Lastly, please address any questions you may have to my email, which is on the screen now. Thank you for your time.